I'm Valentina Isis, the goddess of astrology, and welcome to this episode on love and relationships for the sign of Leo. Now, this works if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant in the sign of Leo, or also your Venus or Mars in the sign of Leo. Also, if you're checking for your boyfriend and girlfriend that has a very strong qualities of Leo, this is a perfect video for you. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is how does Leo love? How do Leos react in their relationships? How is it that they need in love? What is it that they want in love? What is it that you can expect in having a relationship with a Leo? So let's find out how you can make your Leo fall madly in love with you. Let's see. Okay, so just to start with a little bit of the qualities of the Leo energy, we know that they're very amorous. They're actually the natural rulers of the fifth house, and the fifth house is the house of romance, of love, of creativity, of children's, of pleasure seeking. They also have a lot of romantic stylists. They're very regal, they're the king of the jungle. They are formal, warm, social. They like to gossip a little. They like to be the center of attention. Sometimes I think of Leos as a fire camp, where everybody's around the fire camp because they're a fire sign, and everybody's there and they bring people together and they like to be hosting. They like to bring others and have them to have a good time. They're very political. They're creative. They are magnetic. They're demanding. They're great managers. They're great leaders. They love to be dominant. They love to be, as a leader, they love to be in the leading edge. They're also very inspiring. They're good executives because of this. They love big spending. They love the finer things in life. They love anything that is kind of glamorous and high-end, and these things of the beautiful people, the beautiful people from the red carpet, these celebrities. They love celebrities and this energy of everybody watching them. They're brash. They're very proud. They have the pride of the lion, so they definitely have that pride energy. They're self-indulgent because it is the house of pleasure seeking. So there is an energy of self-indulgence that can happen with the Leo. Definitely for them, the perfect day will be just to, lay it around and be able to be lazy. That could be a very satisfying day for them. They're very trusting. They're very vain. Sometimes they're very anxious and strong, and very dramatic and showy, almost like the perfect actors, because they don't mind being the center of attention. So they definitely love these things. They're self-conscious sometimes about their imagery because there's a lot of comparison that could happen of the beautiful people of celebrity world, and am I able to kind of be in there? So they definitely would love like a day if you guys go and there's a lot of important people and there's almost like a little bit of a red carpet and there's people taking pictures of you guys. These are the things that they can definitely enjoy a lot. They have a little bit of insensitiveness to other people, and they need to have a little bit of a fan club. They need to have some sort of club that loves them, that puts them to be, the head leader of a situation. So those are normal characteristics of the Leo energy. Now let's see how the Leo really acts in their relationships, and it's a very interesting thing. They have three tendencies, the Leo. These are like the main three tendencies that Leo woman and Leo man kind of have in their life. They sometimes do the player of the or the spectator in their romantic and love-making energy. So they could be having sex, there could be love-making, and they're kind of, seeing themselves outside to see if they are being good enough, if they're performing very well. So there could be a little bit of a spectator energy where they're trying to be their best, but they don't necessarily dive deeply involved in a very deep way, in a very intimate way with the person. They're just kind of outside trying to see if they're doing it right or if they're doing it wrong, if they can do it better, if they're looking good while they're doing it. And this could happen in their romantic energy as well, just being romantic. They're very conscious of how is it that they're moving, how they're acting when it comes to their lovemaking, when it comes to their romantic energies. Also, the other thing that they have is that they could be a little bit of exaggerated in their expectations, okay? Since they rule the house of love and romance, they could have a very big, exaggerated idea of what romance has to be, what love has to be. So they have kind of like a little bit off expectations. And this is something that can haunt them a lot. They can haunt them throughout their life when it comes to their relationships. And last but not least, there could be a little bit of an egocentric relationships. We got to remember, this is the Leo. This is the energy of the me, of I will, you know. They're the center of attention. They love being the center of attention. And a person that puts them on that pedestal, gives them that throne, is something that they can actually love. They love that energy. They don't like to be criticized. They don't like to be pulled down of their throne. They don't like people telling them, especially their loved one, like, listen, you might think you're perfect, but you're not really perfect. They don't like any of those things. They like their loved ones to glorify them, to worship them, to keep them in this pedestal, to show them that they're the best always, and that, you know, they wouldn't want to be with anybody else but them. These are the energies that boost their ego. They love when their ego is being boosted by the person that they love. So stroking their ego is kind of one of their fanciness. They love those things. Now, they have to learn to overcome their selfishness because of this, because they want to be the center of attention in everything. They have to kind of overcome this selfishness and allow to be genuinely involved in their relationship as an equal relationship, as a relationship where, okay, you stroke my ego, but I also have to stroke your ego. You know, I get my needs met, but I can't forget about meeting your needs. So these are things that they have to constantly battle with. Okay, they have to remind themselves that it's not always about me, 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 me. It has to be a little bit of, you know, my partner, and, you know, he strokes my ego a lot, so I need to reciprocate that. You know, he usually, I'm the one that always talks and has the center of attention, and I have to share the spotlight with their loved ones. This is where they have to really, really learn that sharing the spotlight doesn't mean that they're getting less attention, and doesn't mean that they're getting less of them, but they're generally being involved in an equal, balanced relationship. And this is something that they need to be working on. Now, the first approach to love is that they kind of test. They have a lot of game. They test a lot of their loved ones to see if they're good. And they could also end up being kind of like a manager, because remember, they're very good at leading, and they're very good at managing others, and they're very good at dictating what others should do. So they could kind of come across as something of a person that's trying to manage your situation, trying to manage your life. So don't take this as the wrong. It's just their nature. They're very good leaders. And this is how they can show that they care for you. All right. Now, they view love as something unchallenged, and an entity, never or a changing entity. Like this, the love is just perfect. Love doesn't change. Love is not challenged. Love, it just blooms and it blooms. And they have this very idealistic energy when it comes to love, because it's the house of romance that they naturally rule. They have a very idealistic approach when it comes to love and romance. They really believe it to be something that is way beyond, that is just perfect, that once they find that perfect person to be with, it's going to be effortless. They're not going to have to do nothing. It's just going to flow so perfect. And this is where they find themselves that they constantly can be running into a wall because of this, because they have such a big idealism on love, and how romance is just, you know, when you find that perfect person, everything just flows, everything is just perfect, everything is grand, everything's fantastic, and it's effortless, and it just happens naturally. And, you know, there can be, they have such an idea about this that they can spend their whole life looking for this person where everything would just be effortless, and everything would just be perfect, and everything would just land into place, and the love will bloom forever, and they don't even have to try, and they don't even have to do anything. And they ran into many walls thinking this. So they can have a lot of battles inside themselves into not wanting to accept that life is not like that love is not like that. So there's a lot of energy about that. There's a lot of conflict that could happen with them about that. So they also believe that love will be something that will just serve all their needs. You know, that once they find that perfect person, all their needs will be served. Everything will be perfect. Everything will be effortless. And this can run them into a lot of miseries. You know, this can run them into a lot of walls where they're just so unsatisfied, like every single person they find, and then I don't know where they realize like, oh no, the relationship is not flowing exactly perfect how I wanted it to be, so this must not be the person. So they can run into a lot of, walls when it comes to this situation, and they just have to understand that love is not just there to meet your needs. Love is a discovery of yourself, okay? And it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of accommodating constantly. There's a constant evolution that happens in relationships. It's not just like, oh, met the perfect person, and for the rest of my life, I don't even have to try. I don't even have to do. It's effortless. It's perfect. It's this. No. And the more that, the faster that they realize, like, no, I have to be genuinely involved. I have to share myself in this relationship. I have to find a balance. It's always going to be changing. There's always going to be some evolution. There's going to be always a way of accommodating myself better to this person. The faster they realize those things, the more satisfied they will find that. They will find that satisfaction that they're longing for. So, and the thing is, because they're a fixed sign. This is the reason why they're a fixed sign. So they're fixated in the idea that no, love has to be perfect. Love is going to be great. Love is something that is effortless. Love is something that is just magic. And they have to get rid of this idea. They have to unfix themselves from this idea, so they're not constantly feeling themselves unsatisfied in every single relationship that they get involved. So, and it also, because they're so fixated in the idea that it has to be perfect, when it comes to the moment of change, it could be hard for them to change. Like when there's a necessity for, when the relationship is asking of them to accommodate better, to have a change in themselves, to have a compromise, this is where they kind of run into trouble. I'm not going to change myself because I'm perfect, and I should find somebody who's perfect for me, and that it's effortless, and that it's great, and that's it. So this is where they run into a lot of problems with their relationships, because they're very strong-willed, they're very proud, and these things sometimes get in the way of them just being genuine in the relationship, okay? And at the same time, they can be very proud, and they can be very, demanding, but deep down inside, if they don't find this person and they're like, well, I'm eventually going to find the person that I love and that it's going to be effortless and perfect, they can find themselves into a deep, deep loneliness. Okay, so there's a lot of tolerance that needs to kind of happen for the Leo to truly find that genuine relationship that flows in a happier way. So they're very good actors. Of course, they're the performer of the zodiac. So they're very good actors, and they could, they can convince people. They're so charming and they're so beautiful that they can go into a room and convince people. They can convince people that it's night while it's in the middle of the day, and they have this charm about themselves that they can definitely do this. But can they convince themselves? This is where your acting ability should come. Can you convince yourself that, yes, this person might have their flaws. I have to accommodate myself to him. I have to, change my thoughts of like, oh, it's the perfect relationship. And how are you going to convince yourself? How are you going to use these acting skills that you have, these performance skills, so you can actually find that happiness that you're truly seeking, and you're not just pretending or showing it to be perfect? Other things about the Leo in relationships is, in order to get rid of this romantic fog that they're kind of caught up in, their expectations of the perfect relationship has to subside. Okay, this is the first step for them to realize what true love is. Okay, the first step for them to clear out this romantic fog is that they need to understand that the expectations that they have of this perfect relationship have to leave, have to subside. They can't be there. And that this ideal that they have of like, oh, once I find this perfect mate, it's going to be perfect, it's going to this, it's going to be that, all my needs are going to be met, I'm going to be super fulfilled, and I don't even have to be, constricting myself, nothing's going to be uncomfortable, everything's going to be perfect. No, not really. And it's not only for you, Leo, it's for everybody in the world. This does not, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. In order for you to find that fulfillment, you have to embrace the development and the utilization of your love energies, of your love partner. Okay, so the more you just realize this is a development, my relationship is always developing. is always evolving. And the way that I utilize my love, how I share the spotlight, how I learn from them, how they learn from me, how we both realize we're not perfect, but some way, somehow we make it work and it feels good. These are the things that are finally going to fulfill the love in Leo, okay? So, because, you know, the Leo can find themselves constantly, half of their life, trying to turn frogs into princesses because they're like, no, it has to be perfect. You have to be. I put my eye on you. I know you're the perfect one. I don't want to be disappointed about the situation. I want you to really fulfill all my needs and love, how love is supposed to be, fulfilling everything effortlessly. And then the other half of their life, they can be spending it thinking, well, you know what? It's not real. That doesn't exist. Reality just, you know, crushes down this idealism of love that they have, and they have to cope with just being like, well, love is not really what it's supposed to be. So try to find a balance, Leo, okay? You truly are a very romantic, very giving, very generous, very charming. People love you. You are so welcoming, you're so hospitable, and you're such a romantic, deep lover. The only thing you need to change is this ideal. The ideal that love is going to fix everything about your life, is going to fix all your problems, is going to fix all this stuff. You need to find a way to just cool it on that and really just love the person for what they are and their flaws, and learn the development of love, of how you utilize love, how you're choosing to love. And the more you do this, the more satisfied you will become, you know? So you don't go into extremes of love, Leo. I'm just letting you know these are just pointers for you to know. And also, if you have a Leo boyfriend, Leo girlfriend, these are the expectations and kind of like how her mind or his mind works. So take this as a way for you to balance yourself and really ground your energies when it comes to love. And that way, you won't be crushed. You know, there's nothing worse than having an ideal and having this positive energy towards this ideal, and then it's being crushed by reality and it's never going to be there. We don't want it to get to those places, and we don't want you to have that frustration. But focus more on sharing yourself in a balanced, equal relationship where both of you are getting their needs met, and both of you understand that there's accommodations that constantly have to happen in the relationship, and that it's okay, it's all right. This is what love truly is. It's not just effortless and perfect and, you know, how you might think the ideal of it is, okay? And I'm just letting you know this so you're able to really, really understand yourself a lot more, because of course, like Socrates said, know thyself, and this is the greatest power you can possibly have for yourself. All right, guys? Thank you so much for letting me do this little forecast on how Leos love and how they approach their relationships. I hope this was of help to you in order for you to understand yourself more and your loved one, Leo, to understand them a little bit more, okay? So stay tuned. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for all your likes. Thank you so much for all your comments. And remember, if you want to get to know a little bit more about your relationship, the compatibility of your relationship, you can always make an appointment with me at the link below. Alrighty, guys. Love you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.